Hey, what's going on? It's Jonathan Smith. I want to bring you a very important video today, and this video is all about credit. Okay, and why is this so important? Well, if someone's going to lend you money to be able to buy a house, to buy your first investment property, third investment property, whatever, you need to make sure that everything is ready to go. You don't have any issues with your credit. You have a high credit score so you can get the lowest rate. I mean, this is literally one of the most important aspects, in my opinion, on buying or selling a house. And why is it that I can say that I know a lot about it? Because I had such a low credit score at one time. I had all the worst stuff on there that you could have. And I've been able to build it back up and been able to buy some property. So I'm going to dive right into it. There's a lot of information here, and I'm going to make it as succinct as possible. Now, the easiest thing that we can do to increase your credit score is by utilization. Now, why is utilization so important? Well, one, it's about 30 to 35% of your credit score. Okay, so when you're talking about making this go from really bad to really good, we're talking about potentially an increase in score of up to 90 points. That's a huge, huge advantage. If you could get this one thing right, I've literally seen people jump their score up 40 or 50 points just from this one thing. Okay, now, why is it so easy to fix? Well, because there's no history behind your credit utilization. They don't look at what you had 2 months ago on your credit cards to score what you have today. It's all about what the last reporting said. So, how does it work? If you have a $1,000 credit limit on your credit card and you use all $1,000 of that credit, you're going to be fully utilized, 100% utilization. You currently owe as much as you are available to borrow. And lenders look at that as risky. So, there's two ways to fix this. One, you can make sure that you find out what the date that your credit card reports to the bureau, look at the day that it reports, and make sure it's paid off in full the day before. Or maybe you can't afford to pay it off in full, you're working on paying it down, but you don't quite have that much. Well, make your payment right before that date so that it is the absolute lowest you can make it go for that month. Maybe you can only pay it down to 500 out of that 1,000, right? But it's a lot better to be at 500 than it is to be at 900, okay? So pay it off as much as you can right before that reporting date. Now, the second way that you could increase your score super easy without even coming up with extra money, now I don't recommend this if you can't have any self-control, but if you have self-control and you know that you're going to keep working on this, the next thing you could do is actually increase the limit on that card. Because here's the thing, going from $1,000 utilization, paying it down to 500 has exactly the same effect as having the $1,000 on there and increasing the balance or the available credit to $2,000. Because at the end of the day, it's a percentage. It's 50%. Okay? Now, think, if you could stack those two things together, you pay it down from 1,000 to 500, and then you increase the limit to 2,000, now you're at 25% utilization, your score probably goes up 30 points right there. I mean, in the day after it reports, your score goes up. That's how quick it happens. It's not like making your payments on time for 5 years and, you slowly get it up. Credit utilization is instant. Okay, so another thing, and we kind of touched on this, is your actual credit history length. Okay, now why is this important? Well, there's a few tips and tricks you can get to actually increase this. The hardest thing is credit length is, well, you have to have time, right? I mean, it's literally how much time do you have using credit? And they use it as an average. So if you have a 10-year-old card and you get a brand new card tomorrow, it averages at 5 years. Now, this is good news. Let's say you have a family member or a friend who has really good credit, and let's say they've had a credit card for the last 25 or 30 years. Now, you could be added as an authorized user on their account and be able to inherit all of that good credit time. I've actually personally done this. I got a 25-year-old credit card. And so when I added it to my credit, I went from a 4-year average credit length to like 8 or 9 years because I was able to inherit all those 25 years of credit and been able to increase my credit history length. Now again, that's about 15% of your total. That's about 15% of your total credit score. Now, another one that's a little bit smaller is credit mix. Credit mix is credit cards, personal loans, student loans, car loans, mortgages. All those different things have a different credit profile. And when a lender's looking at you as a potential borrower, they want to see that you're able to handle multiple different types of credit. Now, a lot of people, say student loans are bad for your credit. If you pay your student loans every month, it's not bad for your credit. It's good for your credit. You get the time, and it's an additional credit mix. Again, that's about 10% of your history. So, maybe you don't have any credit cards, and you're trying to increase your score. Well, getting a credit card that you manage responsibly, pay off in full every month, and don't carry a balance so you don't pay interest, that's a good thing to do. That adds an extra layer of credit mix. The next one, about 10% of your score is new credit and hard inquiries. Now, I know that you've heard, hey, you don't want to put an application on something because they're going to pull your credit and your credit's going to go down. It is true, because that's about 10% of your score. And the more inquiries you have back to back to back, the more that's going to keep hitting your score. But if you have one or two that, maybe your score drops 3 or 4 points, But if you need the credit, if you're buying a house, that's a step you have to take in order to qualify for the loan. So, don't be afraid of credit inquiries. It's only 10% of your score. But at the same time, don't go out there and apply for 15 different loans and credit cards and store cards, because that will end up ultimately affecting you negatively. 35% of your score is all about payment history. And this is really just, was the minimum payment paid every month? That's all it is. It's super simple. It's the hardest one to build up because it takes the most time. Doing the piggyback, where you're able to be added as an authorized user, that also affects your payment history. But the biggest thing here is not having derogatory payments. And derogatory means you didn't pay it. Okay? So if you're paying on time every month, that's already taken care of. They just don't want to see the negative side. So as long as you keep that up, and if you do have blemishes in the past, don't do it again. Keep figuring out how to make your payments. Handle your credit better. Lower your balances. All these things are going to work together, but know that even if you have bad credit, in the next year or two, if you just focus on it and take some advice we have here in the video, you can get your credit score up, and hope is not lost. But you're going to have to work on it, and you're going to have to take the steps to, increase your credit limit, make sure your payments are lower, paying on time, getting that more broad credit type, your credit mix, keeping your new credit as low as possible, not getting a ton of new accounts, not doing a lot of hard inquiries. And over time, you work on this for the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, I think you'd be really amazed at the amount of progress you can make when you're really intentional about it and really give it some good work. I hoped you liked this. I hoped it helped. If you have any additional questions, go ahead and comment below, or go ahead and send me a DM, and I'll help you out a little bit more and give you some extra clarity on anything that you need. If you like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one, and I hope you enjoy.